A lot of people say, well, we shouldn't be worried about this kind of stuff or even bother researching it because there's been evidence for centuries that these things have possibly been observing us or visiting us, and it hasn't really seemed to affected us too much in an obvious way at this point. Do you think that it is something that should be ignored? Obviously not if you're trying to get the funds to research it itself. But I
Well,
know some of your fellow scientists wish that this kind of thing had never been brought to attention of the public.
well, it's irrelevant what specific people say. What matters is what is the reality that we live in. And, scientific research is driven by curiosity. So if there are intriguing facts, we want to find more evidence about it so that we can figure it out. It's just like a kid trying to figure out something in the world, and the adults in the room either know the answer in advance or dismiss the question. And I was always frustrated by that, because science is supposed to be driven by curiosity. If there is something unusual, let's figure it out by getting more data. And the argument that it didn't affect us is not a good argument, because nuclear energy was never ignited on Earth until we understood nuclear physics. So you might say, okay, why develop nuclear physics? Well, now we know that it can be used to harness energy. So we have nuclear reactors in principle, and that can help us. The same is true about Einstein's theory of gravity. It was developed for just intellectual curiosity, explaining the nature of space and time. And then 100 years later, it's used in GPS systems. So you would never be able to navigate on the streets with a GPS system in your car if Albert Einstein was not curious about the nature of space and time. Obviously someone else could have done it, but I'm just saying it was curiosity driven. And you might argue, well, I never needed a GPS system when I was 50,000 years ago in the jungles in Africa. Humans didn't need GPSs. Fine, we can always remain in the Stone Age. But the point is that by realizing what reality is, we are advancing our quality of life. And here is another example. The two of us would never speak if quantum mechanics was not discovered about a century ago, because the computer system, the internet, cell phones, everything that we use on a daily basis was developed thanks to our understanding of quantum mechanics. And so you might say, well, we never used quantum mechanics before a century ago, so why even bother? It doesn't affect our life. Well, guess what? If you understand it, it does affect your life, and in a very positive way. So the point is that something that was not recognized until a given point in time and didn't affect our life is not necessarily implying that we should not seek understanding of it. On the contrary, the more we understand it, the more knowledge we gain about reality, the better we can adapt to it. And, the same is true about let's say COVID-19, the virus. If we didn't understand what a virus is, we would never have vaccines for it. And the hospitals would be full of people dying, many more than actually did. So the point is that understanding reality allows us to behave in a more appropriate way. Another example, people thought for 1,000 years that the sun moves around the earth, after Aristotle said that. And you might say, okay, well, who cares if the sun moves around the earth or the earth moves around the sun? Who cares about it? It doesn't affect our life, whatever it is. Well, it does affect your life, because if you want to reach, for example, Mars, or if you want to reach the moon, and you have the wrong idea about the motion of objects in the sky, you will never reach your destination. You can launch as many spacecraft as you want, and people that believe that the sun moves around the earth, they would never reach Mars. They would never be able to figure out what the situation is in reality of the Earth, Mars, the moon, the planets, and everything else. So my point is, by figuring out what reality is, even if before figuring it out you didn't know it and it didn't affect your life, after figuring it out, it changes completely the way that you behave. And it makes your life better, because you understand the reality that you live in. And that should be true also for finding if extraterrestrial probes are around us, because, it will change the way we think about ourselves, our place in the universe. It will change our aspirations for space. It could affect religious, philosophical beliefs of people. It would have a huge impact. So saying that we shouldn't think about it just because it didn't affect your life, it's just like saying that we should have never left the jungle and developed our understanding of reality since then. That would have left us just like animals.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.